Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio. I'm your host, Mark Bryant, and this is the Fitness Corner. All right, people, we're going to have a good show for you today. Nice outside, and it's going to be nice inside the studio as well. Why? Because I have a special guest that I'm going to introduce you to, and you're going to hear a lot about his fitness journey. So let's meet the man right here. Welcome, Wilson Platt. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's great to be here.
All right, man. That's awesome, man. So we're going to get right into your journey. We're going to talk about a lot of things when you started in fitness. We're going to talk about your sports that led you into fitness and actually got you into the actual gym of training with some weights. This is interesting. So I'm going to start with that. I know when I met you, I know you were playing tennis.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that. I didn't know much of your background besides you playing tennis because you just walked into a gym and with your friend Russell, and there I was as he introduced you to me. But let's go a little bit further back than that. Tell us a little bit about your fitness journey. When did you start getting into fitness?
I played sports since I was young, and it wasn't until I was probably in early high school that the sports that I played started to interact with physical fitness outside of the sport.
Okay.
So yeah, I was playing tennis, as you mentioned, as early as high school. And when I was in 9th grade, there were some of the older players on my team who would encourage us to go to the gym with them on some days. And that was the first time I remember really considering my own physical fitness outside of just a sport.
Okay. So you got into fitness from sports. What type of sports did you do?
Yeah, I played soccer, tennis, baseball, basketball, a little bit of golf. I did a little bit of everything, but mostly it was tennis, soccer, and basketball.
Tennis, soccer, and basketball, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you did that for how long?
15 years.
15 years, right?
Yeah, and I still play tennis. So for tennis, I mean, I've probably been playing for 23 years.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So that's kind of your obviously, that's your major sport right there is tennis, right? So let's see here. What got you into tennis? What made that tennis be the main sport for you?
My dad was a tennis player as well. Yep. And he taught tennis. And so ever since I was a little kid, he'd bring me out in the court. And he was very, very gentle coach, very thoughtful, but he never took it easy on me. So
I'm about to say, when you said gentle coach, I was like, unlike
yeah,
you, right?
no, he was very similar to you, I think, in that like he knew how to be supportive, but also to not take it easy on me. I didn't beat him ever from 5 years old until I think I was 21 the first time I beat him.
Okay, let's everyone get a little turn this way. There you go. We just want to see a mug every now and then.
Sounds good.
So check it out. 20 some odd years. So are you a pro now?
I'm a 4.5 rated tennis player.
Okay, now before you go any further, I don't know anything about sports. I'm gonna ask you a dumb question. Break that down. What does that mean? What does that mean?
So tennis is one of the coolest adult sports out there because there is a national rating system for every player.
Okay.
And every single match that you have, they compare your rating with the person you play, and then it impacts your rating going forward.
Okay.
So they have different leagues where you play against other people who are in similar rating systems as you, and then you can move up or move down. So I used to be a 5.0 back when I just was coming out of college, and since then I've regressed just slightly, and now I'm a 4.5. It's the second highest level. The 5.0 is the highest level.
5.0 is highest, and you were there at one point?
Correct. Before professional. So 5.0 is the highest recreational level.
Before professional?
Correct.
Wow. Did you ever want to become a professional tennis player?
When I was young, yes. And it was interesting. When I was in high school, the University of Washington had a very good tennis team, and I would watch a lot of tennis. And what became clear is that tennis is a unique scenario where many foreign players participate in international tournaments, and they try their hand at becoming a professional. And if they're close, but they can't make money or they're not quite good enough, then they will leave their professional tournament and they will move towards going to college in the US. And I learned quickly that those kinds of players were playing all year round, all the time. And I wasn't totally willing to give up the other sports I played, the basketball, the soccer, the baseball. So I knew from an early age that I was not going to become a professional, probably from middle school or so.
Really?
But I've always loved it.
Okay, so then you didn't want to sacrifice it, so I guess tennis really was not your passion.
Yeah.
I mean, is that accurate? Maybe it's not. I mean, when I say that, because fitness is my passion, I want to go all the way to the top. I mean, whatever I gotta get, I'm going for it. So since you chose not to do that,
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess I would say that it wasn't my passion to exclusivity. I would say it was one of many passions, but if you want to retain multiple passions, you can't give all your time to one.
well, that's true. But being that you said you've been in tennis over 20 some odd years, I thought that's where you were heading. You were going to get to the very top.
Not me.
Not you.
Not me. No.
If there was a sport that right now that you may think of, like, I really want to do this, I really want to commit.
I spent a lot of my teenage and college years focusing on winning, right? How I wanted to win every match. I wanted to win every game. And I think that over time, what became more important to me was having fun and playing well.
Okay.
And so now those are the things that I try to focus on.
Okay, just have fun and playing well.
Yeah. And challenging myself.
Oh, I mean, that's cool. I like that. And that's what makes you happy. And obviously it keeps you fit.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So tell us this. In order to play tennis, you've been playing tennis in order to stay fit out there on that court and run and do all the things you have to do on the court. What was your routine staying fit for tennis? Your exercise routine. Routine.
So in terms of practice, we would always start off and end practices with stretching. And you and I were just having a conversation
about stretching,
before this about stretching. And so I know now that probably didn't have the best stretching routine, but we always started there. And there is some similarity, I think, between how people warm up in tennis and how I warm up in the gym sometimes. In that,
give us a little. What's the similarities?
Yeah, in tennis, you almost always start off with what they call short court. So you shorten the court up. Both players are very close to the net, and you hit the ball softly back and forth to one another.
Okay.
And as you get warmed up, you move farther back.
Okay.
And you start hitting harder. And you start hitting harder. And you start hitting harder. And I've found in my time in the gym with you that that's also the way we often warm up or get into heavier lifts as well. First we start off with some sort of stretching exercise, whether it's with weights or without. Then we start off at a low weight and we slowly warm our muscles up to the top. And it's very similar in tennis. Yeah.
Right. So you're doing a lot of, in a sense, dynamic warm-up with the tennis, hitting back and forth, moving along the court.
Absolutely.
That's the type of warm-up that we call. Right. And then in terms of fitness, do you do any? Well, I guess endurance would be on the court, actually hitting back and forth. Yep. Did you incorporate any strength training into that to stay strong on the court, or how did that go?
Yeah, the big places in your body that people talk about with tennis, especially in high school, people are probably a little more vain, are your shoulders and your back and your wrists. And so when we would go in the gym, sometimes we would do one-armed rows.
Okay.
Sometimes we would do kind of forearm curls.
Forearm curls for the forearms.
Yeah. And then we would do lateral lifts, like lateral raises for shoulders. Okay. And those are the three main exercises.
Arms out to the side. Okay. For the shoulders. Yeah. Right. Okay. And I guess your legs, again, they got in the workout from you running around the court.
And I should have worked them out more in the gym. Absolutely should have. But at the time, I think I didn't. And to this day, it's actually, I think I still avoid working out the legs a little bit.
When it comes to, because, it depends on a person's sport, how they're going to train their legs. So would you know the type of exercise to do to improve yourself on the tennis court?
I would not. No. For my legs, no. Okay. I would not.
Okay. That would basically be an endurance type of workout, high reps. You wouldn't try to do heavyweight for 5 reps. You're not going to try to build a lot of strength. That way you're not going to try to hypertrophy the legs by building them up big muscles. You would do a more endurance type of workout for your legs.
Makes sense.
To sustain yourself.
Yeah.
So you have to do something like that. But very interesting. Very interesting. So you're on the court, you're doing your sports. What led you into the actual gym?
Well, first I want to note that even though I said I went into the gym sometimes for tennis,
right,
I was always a tall, skinny kid.
Okay.
And I say that because when it comes to my fitness journey, particularly going into the gym,
right,
I spent a lot of time being embarrassed and intimidated.
That's very interesting. So I want to know why you felt embarrassed and intimidating. What made you feel that way?
A lot of athletes, and especially once you get out of tennis and you get into basketball, for example, a lot of athletes really pride themselves on being big and strong. And a lot of my teammates, a lot of my family members would look at me and they'd grab me by the arm and they'd say that classic line, "We got to put some meat on those bones."
Wow.
And every time that would happen, I would just feel so small. I would feel so guilty.
I understand that, but I'm just trying to get that part about you feeling embarrassed in the gym. Why you feel embarrassed in the gym?
Because you get in there and almost everybody in there is already, especially if you're in a gym with a bunch of athletes, they're already big.
Oh, they're already big.
And you come in and you're small. You feel embarrassed about being small. And then you feel embarrassed to even be there because it's a constant comparison. You're looking at yourself and you're looking at them, and it's a reminder of you're not there or whatever it might be.
Okay. So how do you overcome that in the gym? What did you do to overcome that?
I mean, I would say that I didn't truly overcome it until I ran into you at the gym for the first time with Russell. And I think one of the ways that I overcame it was being a part of a group with you at the helm of people that all looked and lifted very different, right? I mean, we had Mr. J, who was in his 70s.
Right.
We had Taurus, who was young and way bigger than me in every way.
Us, yeah.
And all of us. Yeah.
Lifting better than me.
Exactly. And everything in between. And so I think the sheer diversity of everyone was a more welcoming place for me. Okay. Just from the outset. And then the next thing is you are so deliberate as a coach, right? You are so intentional with everything you do. And you have an amazing way, and I have to imagine this comes from working with seniors, to make the person who's in front of you, who's lifting, feel like their next step, their next goal is the best thing possible. It is no different from the person who's lifting 100 pounds heavier.
Right.
All that matters is your next goal. And I think I really felt that from the moment that I was in with you.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me that back then? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That's very good. So, one of the things I was going to say to people, like if you, like Wilson said, you're going to the gym and you're feeling intimidated or embarrassed about your physical look and your strength, what I believe would help you overcome that is going with a goal, because your goal may not be to get big. Mm-hmm. There's many reasons you can go to the gym other than putting on muscle size. Mm-hmm. So I think if you came in with a goal, that's what you should focus on, not worry about anyone else.
And I can attest right to that, because after the pandemic or after the lockdown, I moved out of the neighborhood and I don't get to see you very consistently at the gym anymore. But for the first time in my life, I started going to the gym by myself. Truly, first time in my life. And there was a gym close to my house. I would go to it. And as I went the first day, I looked at the bench. And I remember when we were benching back when we would all be together.
Yeah.
And I remember a goal for some of the people in our group was to bench 225 pounds.
Okay.
And I looked at that bench and I thought, I want to do that.
Oh.
And that became this goal that didn't have to do with my physique, didn't have to do with how I looked. It was just something to strive for. It didn't have to do with, sometimes I'd look at people at the gym and they benched, 250 10 times.
Right.
But that didn't matter because it was just about my goal. And I think a lot because of the tutelage that you gave me, I was able to achieve that goal within 4 months. It was really great.
4 months, and then you were able to get up to 225 pounds in the bench, right?
Yeah. It's very fun.
Right.
Wow.
So, yeah, I agree. So the actual goal helped you get through that, and the intimidating factor was gone, right?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
And then when my goals changed, I think it got to be close to summertime, and I got to work out with you once, and you got to talk to me about different kinds of workouts for different types of goals.
Right. You know what? I actually remember that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be the only one you tell it to. I have a feeling some people have just tuned in, and they may want to hear that too. So if you're just tuning in, welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio. I'm your host, Mark Bryant, and this is the Fitness Corner. My guest today is Wilson Platt, and he is talking to us about his fitness journey. Oh man, through tennis, and now he have the confidence, gain the confidence to go into the gym and do his own routine and say the heck with everyone else in the gym. I'm here for me, and that's what I'm gonna do. As a matter of fact, he just said there's fitness for different goals. I want to find out what you mean by that. Tell us, Wilson.
Sure. As you mentioned it, when I first started going to the gym, my main goal was to be better at tennis or to be better at my sports. And then my most recent journey, my main goal was to be able to bench 225 pounds.
All right.
And then you may remember I just mentioned when I was younger, I was very embarrassed about how tall and skinny I was.
Yeah.
Now that I had some confidence to just be in the gym and didn't feel like I didn't belong in the gym anymore, which is how I used to feel.
Right.
I got to return to a little more of the vanity project of, well, I want to look a little stronger.
Okay. And that's nothing wrong with that. There isn't anything wrong with that.
And it was fun. And I remember you telling me, okay, if you're looking for different kinds of goals, and if you want to work towards that kind of a goal, if you want to go bigger muscles, you go lower rep and you move up to higher weight.
Okay.
And if you want to do more defined muscles, you want to go much higher rep.
Right.
And you lower the weight a little bit.
Right.
And the other thing that I now really focus on that I didn't focus on as money before is not just the amount of the reps, but the way you're squeezing the muscle.
Yes. Yeah. A good point right there. A lot of people go into the gym, or maybe not into the gym, just exercise in general, be it in the gym, be it a community center, be it outside in the park, wherever, the basement. Done that many times. But there's a key factor here. Muscles can still develop, but not just through motion. You got to be able to contract the muscle, squeeze the muscle to make them work. If you just go through the motion, you're probably not going to get very far or not far at all, not get any results. So contracting the muscles, flexing the muscles, or squeezing the muscles are all the same thing. You got to tighten up the muscles and make them respond. That's very, very true.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing I learned after that from you as well was that you can focus so much on squeezing the muscles, and then you can, I was particularly on like my bicep curls, I was bringing my wrist, my hand too far up,
right,
and going past what you taught me was peak contraction.
Exactly.
And so now I try to hit that middle spot of, okay, you don't need to move farther than peak contraction, because then I can put too much pressure on my joints.
Exactly.
And that's what I try to focus on now.
And that's a tough one. A lot of people don't know about that. You have to show that, but a lot of people don't know about that, because I see that all the time.
Yeah.
But tell, I like this part. When I showed you how to do the seated row.
Mm-hmm. Oh man.
And you finally felt that in your back for the first time.
Yeah.
So tell us about that briefly.
This is one of your greatest skills, is that you combine this technical knowledge with a great observational skill. So you're able to see me doing seated rows, and you could tell that I wasn't getting the most out of them, not just by how I was sitting, but by how I was reacting. Right. And you taught me that if I really push my rib cage forward, so that I'm not just flat back. I think everybody thinks just flat back.
Right.
But really push your rib cage forward, and then get a little bit of forward bend before you pull back.
Right.
You're getting so much more out of it. And the very first time we did it, I suddenly felt it just across my entire
because you were
back.
able to squeeze your shoulder blades.
Exactly.
That's that's the point we're trying to, right? Squeeze your shoulder blades together.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And
Phew.
Yeah, it is. It's a little tiring. Yes, you're right. Because if you don't do that, you're gonna be pulling the cable, but you'll be doing more bicep work. So it become a bicep exercise instead of a back exercise.
Yeah.
So you have to learn, like you said earlier, to focus on the muscles by contracting your back.
Exactly.
Will that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. And then and this is for you, all of you listeners, that day we did it, Mark was helping me out, and then he would jump on, and then all of a sudden he said, let me try something. He put the bar down to the bottom and just repped the whole stack on the seated row machine.
You're not supposed to tell that to them,
sorry,
right?
Sorry.
I'm a senior here. Come on.
I think about it to this day.
Oops. Oops. So listen, that's good. It's so much you learned over the years of training with me, and being on your own, having the confidence to go into a gym, not being intimidated by people, but to follow your own goals, which is you worked out great, and that's excellent. During the pandemic, though, let's go back for a while. During the pandemic, we had to do a lot of things online because we couldn't be in person with people. And I was coaching you guys online for a while. What difference was it doing my coaching with you guys online versus in person?
Yeah, I think now that I reflect on it, one of the major differences is we didn't have the heavyweight goal numbers,
right?
Like, oh, I want to get to 225 on the bench or whatever it might be. Instead, we were doing a lot of body weight exercises.
Right.
And you'd be on the Zoom, and it'd be me and a couple of my roommates,
Right.
and we'd all be working out together. And so it became a much more communal activity. It wasn't one person going at a time. It was us all going together. And it also became less about how much weight we could do and
Right.
more about how many reps we could do.
Exactly.
And I've joked with you about this before. I can always do far more when you're there, whether it's virtually or not, than when you're not. And I'll never forget this. There was a day we were doing push-ups, and you told us a story about your childhood and some of the ways you would train and how you would take a deck of cards.
Right. People listen to this here, right? If you're into playing cards, you like cards, you might want to play with these cards this way. Go ahead.
Take a deck of cards, you flip over a card, you do that many push-ups. You flip over the next card, you do that many push-ups. And there was one day where you had us all deal out to ourselves, I don't know, 15 cards each or something like that, and try to complete them. And the groans and the moans in this room until we finished it, it was painful, but it was also so fun. And I really, really enjoyed that. So that was one aspect. The second aspect of it was you didn't stop your teaching. I think so much of my confidence in fitness has come from understanding fitness better. And that comes from having a talented trainer like you who is able to not only teach you what to do, but why to do.
Right.
So you would actually encourage us to move the camera and then to put our hands to feel the muscles flexing in each other,
right.
to assess form and technique, and then take time to explain why those techniques mattered. And that was a part that I really enjoyed as well.
So now you're 100% into fitness. We don't have to drag you into the gym, beg you to come into the gym. You actually have a membership, so you're good to go.
I never thought I'd say it, but that is true.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
wow.
true.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you were going to stick around into the gym either. I just didn't think you would, but long and behold, you did.
Yeah. And sometimes these things take time and sometimes they have delayed results, but
now out of all that time you're in the gym now and you're doing your thing, how's it actually feeling? How's it in terms of your health?
My health is great. I mean, I think first of all, I'm 33 years old. Your 30s is when people start to complain. I feel like often about their physical health.
Okay.
Oh, this hurts, or oh, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I feel stronger than I ever have in my life.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And combined with that, I've had no major injuries.
Okay.
And I think that's actually becoming more rare amongst the people that I know that are around my age. So that's one piece. And
is that just due to the knowledge you gained over the years?
Yeah.
That's why you haven't sustained injuries.
The knowledge, right? I mean, because I could have hurt myself in the gym,
right?
And also the confidence to go to the gym. I feel that the strength that I've built allows me to stay functional.
Okay.
And you always preach, don't get out of balance.
Right.
As much as I might only want to do chest and bicep every day.
Yes.
You make sure that I don't do that.
Right. But yeah, there's other parts of the body too that need to be trained, so you could be in total balance right there. And stretching is a very important piece of it, right?
Mm-hmm. That's probably my next frontier.
Right. You gotta stretch. And all these things take that time. Mm-hmm. You only have so much time.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a job and, you're in a relationship and so forth. If you have no life and boring and living single like me, you could do all those things. Right. So you gotta be able to stretch and stuff like that too. Real quick, I'm gonna give you a little tap on this here. What about resting and what about eating?
It's a great question. When I think about resting and eating, I think about make sure that you don't overwork your muscles by working the same muscle group a bunch of days in a row if you're going heavy.
Okay.
Right. I think one of the things I learned from you is that the weight that you're working with matters as well for your rest.
Right.
So if I'm going really heavy on the bench, one day, maybe not enough, 2 days, maybe better, 3 days, maybe best, or something around those lines. If I'm just doing 30 push-ups at home, you can do them again the next day. That's okay. And so that's one of the things I learned about rest from you is that actually there's different rest for different types of exercise.
Yeah. That's what we call active recovery, that you can actually go to the gym and do a light set, maybe 1 or 2 sets of a light weight for the same muscle group. And that actually helped the muscle recover because of the blood getting into that muscle group with nutrients.
Yeah.
So it's called active recovery. Active recovery can also be walking. Yeah, so anything like that will help you, long as you're not, long as the intensity is low. Yeah, that's very important. And in terms of eating, you're eating what you may consider healthy. I don't know. Notice I put that in your corner.
Yeah.
Right.
I definitely. I mean, one of the things I appreciated that I learned from you is that you don't have to overcomplicate it when it comes to eating.
Exactly.
That you don't have to think about all these supplements. You don't have to think about all these different things.
Right. I don't do supplements, by the way. Go ahead.
Is that, keep it focused on the simple. You want carbs and protein,
rest,
and then those things, carbs, protein, and rest, right? But
those are healthy fats.
Yes, and healthy fats, and so of course, fruits and vegetables are also very important in terms of a balanced diet.
Exactly.
But I come back, I have a little protein shake, and then I make sure that I have a high protein meal. But I don't go crazy. It's not like I'm having 16 eggs.
Exactly. Okay. That's really good. You obviously learned a lot. You gained a lot, and you're doing fantastic. And I'm glad you came here to share your fitness journey with my audience. And I'm so happy to have you on my show. I mean, man, we're just turning pages by pages. It's lovely to have you here. Anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, it's a great question. First, I'll have to give a shout out to my friend Russell. If it wasn't for him, I would have never met you. And if I hadn't met you, I wouldn't be here on this show, and I wouldn't be in the fitness place of my journey that I am. So first shout out to my friend Russell. And then second shout out, I think, I don't know. I want to shout out everybody: Danielle, Mr. J, Taurus.
Any relationships?
Oh, thank you. This is good. My girlfriend Casey.
I'm trying to save you. I'm trying to save you.
Yeah. I want to thank my girlfriend Casey. She is an amazing girlfriend, an amazing woman, a fantastic doctor, and she also makes sure that I'm taking care of my body.
Doctor, can't get better than that. Yeah. Anyone else?
My parents, of course, they're very supportive, and they're the reason that I've been able to do a lot of things I've been doing. So thank you to them.
Well, Wilson, thank you for being on the show, and I look forward to having you back on sometime in the future.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, and thank you guys for listening. Until next time, I'm your host, Mark Bryant, saying good night.